How you doing? I'm Sean McVeigh with Sean's Outdoor Adventures, and in this video I'm going to go over the Prime Centergy bow, and I'm going to be doing this at Baker's Archery in Halifax, Pennsylvania, and I just want to give a special thanks to those guys for hosting me in this video and putting all the work in to get these bows set up for me to review. I really appreciate it, so if you're ever going through Halifax, make sure you stop in and check them out. In this video I'll be reviewing the Prime Centergy. This is the 6-inch brace height and the 35-inch axle to axle. This is the 33-inch axle to axle with the 6.5-inch brace height. Okay, so we'll do the vibration meter test here. This is the 5 grain per pound arrow, 8.5. This is the 550 grain arrow. So this arrow is 200 grains heavier than the one I just shot. The meter read 12.0, but I could tell it was less vibration in the bow because the arrow was absorbing more. As you can see, this meter is essentially and utterly useless. Going into next year, I'd like to get a much better vibration meter, and they cost hundreds to over $1,000 depending on how good of a model you get. So if you'd like to help support that and make a contribution toward that, check the link in the description section of this video to see how you can do that. Every little bit helps. I also want to get a portable draw board which also has a scale on it so that I can verify draw length and draw weight, because slight variations in the draw weight and the draw length can have an impact on the overall speed of a bow. And what we're trying to do is compare one bow to the other, one brand to another, so that we can see apples to apples, what are these bows doing and how do they perform compared to what the manufacturers are saying that they do. So please consider contributing to that so that I can have even better data for you next year. Okay, so I'm shooting these bows at 70 pounds. Now all the other reviews that I've been doing have been 30-inch draw length, but they only have these in a 29-inch draw. So that'll impact how these bows compare to the others. Will be a little bit slower, but you know, we're just going to do what we can with these because that's all that's available. So first, super solid back wall. They got limb stops, so 10 out of 10 for that. As far as how easy it comes off the back wall, I'll give it about a 7 or an 8 out of 10. I'll do that again. Yeah, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. So in my rating system, if I feel like I have to push my hand forward, that's a 10 out of 10. But if I just am easing up on my muscles and it eventually comes down, I kind of give it a rating. And when I say 8 out of 10, it stays on the back wall really well. So you have to, you know, ease up on your muscles quite a bit for it to come down. So now let's shoot it through the chronograph and see how we do. 314. 79.8. Duplicate 314. 76.4. Duplicate 314. 78.7. And it does have that, you know, dead in the hand feeling. It doesn't jump forward, and when the bow goes off, it stays in your hand nice and well, and it doesn't have much hand shock, so there's not much vibration in the bow, so it's very nice and smooth. Let's shoot it with the 550 grain arrow now. .256, 75.6. 257, 77.6. 256, 77.6. Now this is the Centergy 35-inch axle to axle and a 6-inch brace height. Again, 10 out of 10, solid back wall. Comes off, this particular one, I'd give it about a 7 out of 10. 6.5 to 7. .317, 78.1. Again, I'm shooting these at a 29-inch draw length. So for speed, you get a little bit faster, obviously, if they were at 30-inch, like I've been doing all the other bows. 318, 80.2. Now I can feel a little bit more vibration in this bow compared to the 6.5-inch brace height, but it's still not much at all. And the bow doesn't jump out of your hand. It really stays in your hand nicely. But watch when the bow goes off. It doesn't jump out of the hand like some bows. Okay, now we'll do the 550 grain arrow. .259, 77.4. .260, 78. .261, 77. So when I compare the two, I would say that the 6.5-inch brace height has a little less vibration. You can tell that with the 6-inch, they tweaked this bow just as much as they could to get obviously as much speed as they could out of it. It is a little bit faster than the 6.5-inch brace height, but there is a little bit more noise and vibration, as I could tell with the readings and with the way it's shot, but still a really nice bow regardless. Very smooth, solid back wall.
Now, based on some of the other reviews I did, I was seeing even an 8 to 10 feet per second difference per inch of draw length with some of the bows. So it is fair to assume that these bows could have clocked in the mid 320s feet per second if we had them set at the 30-inch draw like the other bows that I did. But they didn't have that option available to me. So keep that in mind as you compare these bows to the other bows that I've reviewed. Now, one other thing I just want to mention about these Prime bows that is kind of an advantage to them compared to other manufacturers is that they do offer, at least right now, free strings and cables every 2 years for the bow. So if you're somebody who's planning to buy a bow and keep it for quite a long time, I mean, that carries its weight, because a set of strings and cables, that can cost you over $100. So looking down the road, when you compare the price of this bow to some of the others, even though they're right around the same price point right now, down the road, it's going to save you over $100 to replace those strings and cables if you're someone who plans to keep this bow for quite a few years down the road. So now I'm going to go over the results. I logged all of my data onto a sheet that I had created, and then I came home and put it in a document and compared it to the numbers that they provide through their literature and on their website. And I do want to specify again that these bows were shot at 29-inch draw as opposed to 30-inch draw. So when a manufacturer gives an IBO rated speed, that's at 30-inch draw, 70 pounds, 5 grain per pound arrows is the general standard for that. These bows were shot at an inch short, so these speeds are probably 8 to 10 feet per second slower. You know, somewhere, I mean, it might even be less than that. It could be 5 feet per second, but the point is, these numbers that I got are not the best comparison to what the manufacturers are saying. So as we look at the Centergy, the first one that I went over, I clocked it as 314 feet per second. They clock it in at 333. And I think that if we had that extra inch of draw length, we could have been close to that 324 mark, maybe right under it, but that's about where I would have anticipated these bows coming in at. And if we look over a little bit farther, we see the noise was 78.3 decibels at 5 grains per pound, that 350 grain arrow. The back wall is very solid, 10 out of 10, because you have that limb stop. And then the letdown, how easy it comes off of the back wall, I gave it about a 7 out of 10. So the other Centergy bow that I tested, it came in at 317 feet per second compared to the 338 feet per second that they have it advertised at. And again, I'm still thinking I could have been 8 to 10 feet per second faster if I had an extra inch of draw length to work with there. The noise of that one was 79.8 decibels, so it was just a little bit louder than the other one. You know, that shorter brace height. They tweak these bows, and sometimes the shorter brace height and stuff like that, there's just a little more going on, and so it adds a little extra vibration. The back wall, 10 out of 10, and then how easy it comes off the back wall, again, a 7 out of 10. And these bows, the MSRP or estimated list price is around $1,099. But again, as I said before, you know, going 2 years down the road when you get that free set of strings and cables, that saves you over $100, obviously depending on where you get them from. So I want to thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and I want to thank Baker's Archery again for having me out. I mean, it was really nice of them. They opened the shop over an hour early that day just so I could show up and do some bow testing there and not interfere with anything else that was going to be going on that day. So thanks again to Baker's Archery. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't seen the other review videos I've already done, I've done Expedition, Hoyt, the Defiant lineup. I did the Bowtech Rain, the Matthews Halon series, this one, and in the next one, I'm going to go over the Elite bows. So I hope you stay tuned for that. And then when I'm all done, all the videos, all these review videos, I'm going to pick out my favorite and top bows, the best rated bows from my experience for this year, and I'll share that with you. So I hope you stay tuned for that. Again, also check the description section if you want to help contribute so I can get some equipment to get even more precise data for you in the future. Until then, take care and God bless.